It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, right?
Yes.
To be alive here in Nigeria. My name is Iyaya Nekan and I am super excited to be here. Of course, good morning to you wherever you are on the surface of the earth this morning.
And good morning. Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily. Of course, it's another day here on set to talk about a country that we love so much. And of course, that's the country Nigeria. Don't forget, we are reaching you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. And it's a frosty morning here where we are. I don't know how the weather is wherever you are, but I think that we are enjoying it. We were complaining of a little bit of chilliness some few days ago, but all of a sudden there's a twist right now. You know, the weather is kind of warm. Yes, kind of warm. So I don't know how the weather is where you are, but thank you so much for always waiting on us every weekday. My name is Janice Cobham, and I'm super delighted to have you join us. Okay, so I came across something yesterday very quickly, Uyai, before we even go into our major stories for this morning. Ojo Zokalo is saying that Naira crunch has made him and his family not be able to cook. So it's more like it's not just you and I facing the whole Naira crunch issue. It's more like everybody is facing it. I remember yesterday I went out and I just had to like beg, literally beg, you know, someone to just take me and drop me off somewhere. And he was kind enough to say, okay, you do not have physical cash. Let's go to a petrol station. Let's go to a fuel station and see if they will be able, you know, okay, tell them that I want to buy fuel for 3,000 naira, and then I'll tell them that I want for 1,000, and then they give you 2,000, and I refund your 1,000. And for me, it was a nice idea, just so I could have a little bit of cash, you know, with me. But all of a sudden, we went to the fuel station, and true to type, network wasn't working in my bank. And yet we are saying that we want to go into a cashless policy. I know that that's one angle a lot of Nigerians have complained about. Why not make the infrastructural investment facilities possible first before you even say let's go into a cashless society?
Well, at the end of the day, the policy seems to be hasty no matter where you turn, especially just trying to force a country that does not have. I mean, Olusegun Obasanjo talked about the fact that there is a lack of continuity in governance that has made it impossible for Nigeria to be able to host our own satellite in space, you know, because at this time, I mean, even if we are still beneath the radar of, you know, developing, I mean, we are like under the radar of underdeveloping nations. At least Nigeria is big in name and big in a lot of other things. We should be able to host our satellite by now, and the issue of, you know, like internet and all of that would have been a thing of the past, but we are not even there yet. And we are trying to force the whole country into a cashless policy kind of system. It's been really difficult these days. You know, you just literally have to do what you can. So the fact that the money crunch is there, it's biting across board, because even the person who is rich in millions of naira does not have access to those, you know, same millions to be able to use and do anything at all. I mean, we've had our boss, you know, in a meeting show us a few nairas he had left, and the fact that he too had to source, you know, very hard to find those you know, notes. But it's been difficult for everybody nonetheless. You know, Nigerians will say even your destiny helper at this time is looking for help. You know, like, it's not a matter
Not like you don't have a destiny helper anymore at this point in time.
And
then once you have a few new naira notes, you want to also hoard it yourself, you know, so you don't get to spend it and get yourself messed up somehow.
Really?
But anyways, I know that what else, there was something that I wanted to talk about and it just keeps me. But let's look at some of the major stories for this morning. A lot of things happening in the country. It's just 4 days to the elections, and I think, and I really love what Nigerians are doing, showing the federal government and every other person, showing INEC, which is the electoral umpire, that they are ready. Just yesterday we had the Nigerian Association, is it Nigerian Association of National Association of not Guild of us, NANS now.
Okay, National Association of
Nigerian Students. Yes, National Association of Nigerian Students, saying that by Thursday, which is the day after tomorrow, they are going to come out to show Nigerians who they want to vote for, you know, more like an endorsement coming. So this is more like a very interesting time in the polity of the nation, where you see people come out to say, look, this is who I want to vote for. This is who my people want to vote vote for.
It's been,
you know,
it's been the greatest time in Nigeria,
yes,
in the history of Nigerian
I'm telling
politics.
you. So people are coming out to say, okay, we as a group, this is where we are falling to. You know, we are going to be voting for this person, and it is made categorically clear.
Yeah.
So we await the Nigerian students who to, you know, by Thursday, who they actually want to vote for.
A
But
twist to that is actually that they want to hold a town hall meeting with these presidential candidates. But you know, I'm thinking on Thursday to elections on Friday. Is it possible to
elections
actually
is
have
on Saturday?
Yeah, election is on Saturday. So on Thursday they want to hold a town hall meeting. How possible is it to have all the, you know, in quote, you know, have all the presidential candidates in one place, except they want to do it virtually. But even at that, we are seeing that the itinerary for these presidential candidates is really intense. You know, few days to the elections, we are having some of them wound up on their campaigns around the country. So when I saw the clause of having a town hall meeting with them before now choosing out as a result of that town hall, that's when they'll be able to endorse who they want. So I'm thinking, is this really a right strategy? It's a nice strategy, but the timing seems a little off because of how busy these people are going to get in the next couple of days.
But is it really a nice strategy? I'm going to, you know, hold you back still on that, because if you say that you're going to be inviting all presidential candidates to a town hall meeting, have you forgotten that it is not all the presidential candidates? Whether it was a town hall meeting scheduled to hold somewhere in December, it's definitely not going to be all the presidential candidates that will avail themselves for it. So it doesn't matter if it's 1 day, 2 days to the election. The point is there are some presidential candidates that will make themselves available, and there are some that will definitely not make themselves available. Anyways, we can also say that because of their tight schedule, you know, they've always put forward the, you know, the narrative that there's a tight schedule, all things are being planned for, you know, and so nobody can take them impromptu, you know, and all of that. But we are raising Nigerian students. They are more like, according to the statistics of INEC, they are more like the most, you know, in terms of registered voters now, over how many percentage, you know, of young people. And then you see that when once they endorse a particular candidate, it would definitely have a trickling down effect, because every young person would say, okay, so since Nigerian, you know, the aluta continua thing, you know,
it's a strong speech.
It's a strong speech. But once a student, always a student. Okay, so you hear aluta continua, Victoria etc. Your spirit is high. Like, okay, so what are we going to do next, and all of that. But we hope that, you know, they'll make the right choices at the end of the day. Nigerians are actually hoping on the teeming youths, you know, of this country to make a decision.
Of course, they want to do it, you know, in line with whoever represents a cause towards education that they can buy. It's not just that, you know, your promises are lofty. When you narrow it down to education, what exactly are you going to do for the education sector in Nigeria? Now, that is, you know, a catchment area that they want to look into. So let's just see who is going to turn up for the town hall meeting and who they endorse at the end of the day. But nonetheless, we have continued to see how the conversation has really changed around our polity. Whoever they endorse, let's not make a joke out of it. It's going to have an impact on the numerical outcome of the elections. I mean, we are looking at the fact that this polity in this season has seen an upturn and upsurge of youths, and most of the youths we're even talking about are under 19s, you know, people that are still in school. So if we have the student body collectively say, for the sake of our education, this is who we hope we all vote, and I think that's going to be a plus for whoever gets the table that day.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed on that one, Nigerian students. We are waiting for you to make that endorsement on Thursday. Anyways, let's go straight now to our major stories of the day. Of course, this is one place that we get to discuss very topical issues and also give you the opportunity to have a voice, lend a voice to all of the conversations we'll be having this morning. So straight up to our major stories, more like trouble for the Labour Party and the APC and, you know, all other political parties except for the People's Democratic Party. They seem to be enjoying some kind of bromance between them, you know, the political party, and some other you know, maybe smaller political parties at this point. Just few days to the 2023 elections, of course, we saw 4 political parties have collapsed their structure for the support of the People's Democratic Party and their presidential candidate for the 2023 general elections, Atiku Abubakar. Now, it follows last week's decision of the Allied People's Movement, APM, to collapse the structure for the People's Democratic presidential candidate. And according to report, this was made officially known on Saturday, of course, the weekend, at the final presidential rally of the People's Democratic Party at the Ribadu Square in Jemeta, Adamawa State. The parties are Action People's Party, APP, Action Alliance, AA, National Rescue Movement, and the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Yeah, would we say at this point that, okay, the People's Democratic Party is enjoying some kinds of alliance, and obviously coming from the fact that the G5 governors have not made things a little bit easy or more easy for their presidential candidate. Now, where does this leave the People's Democratic Party? So much alliance is coming from other smaller political parties and all of that.
The alliances are, well, in themselves strong, but it's funny to see that, you know, African Democratic Congress, ADC, is named among those collapsing their structure to, you know, the People's Democratic Party, because we had the ADC endorse the Labour Party presidential candidate. So it still gives you room to think, what exactly are these people doing? What exactly are they saying? Is it still a matter of factions in between these parties, where you have some people saying, okay, no, we are going to go with, you know, collapsing our structure for the People's Democratic Party, while the other half say, no, we are going to the Labour Party. So we see them split in between there for the ADC. And at this time, well, we would say that the PDP is enjoying, you know, some form of support and alliances from the smaller, in quote, political parties. At this time, we're seeing them collapse structure. To what extent will this affect the elections? Now we would have to see, because truth be told, some of these parties have some, you know, they have some groundwork in certain states. They have coverage, they have people that have been, you know, following them. So for them to say, okay, we'll give all of that to this particular presidential candidate and this particular ticket, now we're talking about Atiku Kowa ticket, it means that it will have some form of influence. Now I think PDP is the party that has enjoyed the most alliances so far, because I mean, we still have from today till maybe say Thursday, Friday for you to see more people doing that. Out of the 18, the remaining, that will not be 18 now. When you do out of the 14 remaining political parties, when you already have 4 collapsing and joining the People's Democratic Party, we now have 10 left. So if the other 10 decide that they are still going to make these kinds of moves, is it still going to be to the People's Democratic Party? Is it still, or is it going to be to APC or Labour Party, as it were? But that's a lot of hope, I would say, for the People's Democratic Party, especially because of some of the setbacks, in quote, that they have suffered as a result of the G5 governors' move not to, you know, give any kind of support to the presidential aspiration of Atiku Abubakar and Okowa. It has lasted the entire period, and where we stand, we already see that there is no end to that. So it's also beautiful to see that, you know, they haven't entirely lost all hope, because when you talk about 5 state governors across 5 states, and you're looking at 4 different political parties that have influence across different states. Now, I think that gives. How
much of the influence do we think that those 4 political parties have?
At this point, politics is a game of number, no matter how minute it is. Even if they had like 100 votes to what Atiku Abubakar would naturally have on his own, I think that takes him, you know, further up the ladder of, you know, winning the elections or not. So I think no matter how infinitesimal the impact is going to be, it's still going to make a change nonetheless, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It will make a change. We are hoping that it makes a change for the People's Democratic Party. But obviously, the chairman of the political parties, their national chairman, also said that why they are adopting the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate is because he is the most competent among all the 18 contestants. He is the most competent according to them. So while they were also running for the presidential tickets, they didn't see themselves as incompetent. This is more like shooting yourself on the foot.
And you're going to imagine that next election round, some of them will come out again.
Of course, yes, they will come out.
Yeah, and Nigerians will remind you that in 2023 you said you were not competent. So what exactly are you looking for?
Are you looking for?
You know, but I think, you know, on the flip side also, if you're looking at, instead of just wasting energy and more money getting to the polls, and you know that in the way Nigeria, you know, the Nigerian politics is played on the tone, we just have right now 4 primary political parties vying for the position. I think it also goes to count when you bring your energy and put, because at the end of the day, we are looking at whoever gets elected would have to work with people. Now, so some of these alliances will pay off in that, you know, members of these other political parties, some of them are going to have positions, you know, to be able to serve the country. So in terms of like ministers and appointments that could help further move the country forward, these kinds of alliances, this is what it offers, because I know that they don't just come and collapse that structure. There's going to be conversation on the table. What are we trading? Yes. What are we going to get back in favor of, you know, coming into this alliance? And so you're promised, okay, maybe 5%, you know, minister allocation, this and that, for you to be able to contribute your quota. Now, let's look at alliances. When we look at alliances, we should also be able to say the ideologies of these political parties would be interpreted in whatever they do eventually when they come on board.
That's if they have some kinds of ideologies.
No, everybody would have a kind of ideology. Whichever parties these are, there must be something they said they would be able to do if they get into governance. There must be strategies that they have up their sleeve. It might not have been strong.
So that's more like their blueprint.
Yeah, more like their blueprint.
Really the ideologies of the party.
Well, so if they get an opportunity to serve in any capacity, maybe a ministerial capacity, now we want to see you represent yourself and your party, you know, when you get into these positions, so that next time when the round comes again, you can now say, in so year, when we were given the opportunity to serve, you know, these and these are the things we did, you know, at this time. They're only collapsing their structure now for this presidential presidential candidates and this particular season. It doesn't mean that their parties cease to exist. It doesn't mean that they themselves cease to be party members in their various parties. They just want to work with the People's Democratic Party in this season. So I believe that whatever they do as a result of these alliances will further affect their chances in the polity of the nation.
Okay, great one there. But again, it's politics we're talking about, so we definitely are going to be seeing some of these alliances, especially when you know that your political party is not significantly, you know, conspicuous like that in terms of your structures, in terms of your strength as a political party and all of that. So it gives room for some of those political parties, you know, to begin to collapse their structures and queue behind a political party that best fits the ideologies or best fits, you know, their principles as people. Just like you said as well, it's going to be that, okay, there have been series of conversations on you know, on the board. Okay, so what will you be doing afterwards, or what will you do for us, you know, afterwards when you eventually win the, you know, what do you call it now, the presidential ticket and the elections as well. But we see that happen a lot of times. Most times people come out not because they just want to contest. Sometimes they don't even have the money and the capacity, the financial strength, you know, to contest for these political positions, but because they want to, okay, so let's see how we can make some negotiations out of it, you know, at the end of the day. And then of course it's working out for the People's Democratic Party at this point in time.
It is, but we also seem to be the favored ones right now.
We're also going to be seeing how it plays out at the polls, actually, because when you have 5 powerful governors, you know, say that we are not backing, and then you begin to ask, what's going to be the strength of these other 4 political parties that have collapsed, as compared to, you know, the 5 G5 governors that have also relaxed their strength in terms of supporting the you know, the People's Democratic Party.
Well, there's actually a lot to look out for in this particular election, especially because of the increase in faces, like like you like to put it, the increase in the conspicuous faces we are going to have on the ballot. Before now, it's always been 2 faces, 2 political parties, but now we're going to have 4 conspicuous faces on the ballot. Now we are splitting between Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, who is currently enjoying, you know, alliances from other parties. That's going to have an impact. We have Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who seems to have the backing of the President of the Federal Republic. We have Labour Party enjoying.
So it seems though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who seems to, right? Yeah. Then we have the Labour Party, who is, endorsed by the teeming youths of the country. We have Kwankwaso, who has the energy of certain sects of the North. Now, usually when we come to the elections, there's a percentage that you must be able to, win to become the President of the Federal Republic. We're talking 50 plus 1% plus the FCT winning polls around there. So usually this will be easily divided between just two political parties, but we're seeing that the 50 plus 1 ratio has to be divided among 4 people. So now why I'm even bringing this up is that I do hope that the electoral body has sat to foresee the difference in polling power that we are going to have in this particular election, and they are going to devise a new ratio by which the winning is going to be done, because we're definitely not going to have any one of the 4 of them have a 50 plus 1 ratio of winning across the nation at this time. It's literally going to be divided amongst all of them. So we're actually looking at maybe what will we call it now? Is it like a rerun? But there's really going to be a new what would I call it? A new input in how someone is declared the winner of this particular election. So we really have the numbers divided, whether it's in the North. Kwankwaso is still going to take some strength out of even Atiku Abubakar, who is also from the North, and then looking at Bola Tinubu of the APC. So we're living in very precious times when it comes to the election. I'm just hoping that INEC is ready for the differences they are going to experience as an electoral body in this election. They haven't handled any election like this in the history of Nigeria. There's going to be a lot of difference, even with numbers, even with votes turnout. The numbers are really going to be different. I hope that they are not caught in the moment
unawares.
Unawares, really.
Just like they were caught unawares with the surging, registration across the country as well. And I really like what I am seeing Nigerians do. People are taking it very personal. People are being very intentional about this particular elections, because even on the streets of the internet you see private people, personal people, begin to educate the populace. This is how to vote, this is how to thumbprint. If you do this way,
not joking with Nigeria.
We are not joking at all. If you do it this way, it's wrong. If you do it that way, it's right. I love what I am saying. This is just the moment we are proud to be Nigerians. And let's not also forget that the world is going to be on us, on Saturday.
We already have observers coming around,
international observers. Yes, we have that happen. And then just to let you know as well, of course, Spectrum Television Nigeria Decide Studios will be opened officially on Friday, so you can always be part of all of the conversations we are going to be having on that set.
Of course, we'll have a phone lines.
Yeah, definitely.
So like 247 actually in the whole season of the election, you'll be able to call our studios and make contribution. Now, what would even like about that is like real-time updates. What is happening in your state, in your area. So Spectrum Television is going to be in the studios live. So you're more like our on-site reporters from your state and in your area. You need to tell us, and now truth be true. No, you don't have to quote the story. Just tell us as it is in your area without any kind of insightful push. But it's going to be a real beautiful time. So we just love you to know that Spectrum Television is going all the way with you in this season of election. Of course, we would have those ads run on our television screen. You'd be able to have the phone lines and who to call. But it's great time. I am particularly pumped up for this particular election, especially because now I think Nigeria is a very pivotal nation, and to see that international communities, even the international communities, Janice, are going to be shocked in this particular election, because if you listen across board, people that have observed our elections over the years, they see that there is a new twist. So nobody actually knows what to expect when it comes to these elections. So all of us, we are just going to be here to watch an unfolding drama the world over in these particular elections, and it means a lot for Africa. Definitely.
But our major prayer as Nigerians is that at the end of the day, the elections will be free, fair, and credible. And do not forget, election is not violence. Election is supposed to be peaceful. So whoever is going to tell you pick up clubs, pick up guns, pick up machetes, and go snatch a box or go destabilize things is doing you a whole lot of wrong. because when you sell your vote, you're selling your destiny and that of your children. I was reading something on social media yesterday, and someone said, if the shaggy you have seen is not enough for you, go ahead and sell your vote. But if you have seen shaggy, like real shaggy in the Nigerian parlance now, you'll definitely not sell your vote. So we'll put a pause on that particular conversation and then move up straight to our very next conversation, still on election matters.
Election matters are like the topmost conversations we're having for the next couple of days. And when we're talking election logistics, we had some people move a suit against INEC to disengage the use of MC Olumo in the distribution of election materials in Lagos State. Now, MC Olumo himself had been in the midst of a lot of controversy in Lagos State, especially because of his alliance to the All Progressives Congress, his alliance to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There has been several kinds of fight and force being used. Now, he is the chairman in charge of transporters in Lagos State.
Garage and parts.
Yeah, garage and parts. Now, the controversies around him would not allow, Lagosians to sleep, knowing the fact that he's going to be the one to bring together the logistics for the elections. Now, Justice Chukwudeko Aneke of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from taking any steps or further steps whatsoever in furtherance of the engagement of the Lagos State Parks Management Committee led by Mesiliu Akinsanya, popularly known as MC Olumo, to distribute election materials and personnel in Lagos State on election days, pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suit. Justice Aneke made the order while granting an ex parte application brought by Labour Party and 5 others. The applicants had sought for an interlocutory injunction restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission, whether by itself or by its officers, affiliates, servants, privies, or agents, or any person acting or purporting to act for and on behalf, howsoever, from taking any steps or further steps whatsoever in furtherance of the engagement or appointment of Mesiliu Akinsanya, of course, MC Olumo there, as is popularly known. Now he's the Lagos State Parks Management Committee. Of course, this is going to cover any of its commercial bus drivers to distribute the 2023 election materials and personnel in Lagos State, pending the hearing and the determination of the substantive suit. Now, this is even just putting a hold on the whole engagement. We don't even know if that verdict can be upturned in any moment, but right now the court is saying you can't even go further with considering to use MC Olumo at this time. But now that still throws open a lot of questions, Janice. At this point, if we cannot use MC Olumo, and that is right in all of its sense, there is even no way for you to look at it, because MC Olumo holds an APC bias. Right, so you can't trust him with the materials, the logistics, the ad hoc stuff. You cannot. If we could not trust CBN, which is an institution in Nigeria, because the person at the helms of affairs wanted to fly for the presidency All Progressive Congress, yes. If we couldn't trust the institution that is owned by the country, is it now MC Olumo that we do not own that we want to trust with all of those kinds of things? But it still raises the question of, if they are not the ones used, how ready is INEC to find another body that can run the logistics for the election in Lagos State on that day? That's a good question.
Because the argument of INEC, I was trying to look for that now. The argument of INEC is that for the past 2 years, the Lagos State has banned the operations of Nigerian Union for Road Transport Workers and another body like that. So they have problems, and they do not want to go against the law of Lagos State in using the NURTW. Okay, so that's why, according to them, they are using the parks and garages. So for INEC, their argument is that we are not working with MC Oluomo. We are working with the parks, the drivers in the parks and garages, and not necessarily. But let's not also forget that the parks and garages is being held or being chaired or being led by somebody that is a pro APC member, and we have seen him in different perspective, different forums, fly the flag of a Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You remember something that happened the other time that we had to sit here to talk about, where they were selling flyers and tickets for as much as 1,000 naira stickers, for taxi drivers and keke riders to stick on their vehicles, and that caused a lot of controversies. And at some point he came out to say that it's not me. We've not heard the last of that story yet. At the end of the day, we do not know exactly who actually was selling the stickers. But I think that INEC should know better in terms of using a pro party member, in distributing sensitive materials. Just like you pointed out, we are looking at a situation where INEC is saying, no, we cannot keep our sensitive materials in the Central Bank of Nigeria anymore, because the Central Bank of Nigeria governor decided to be partisan. Okay, so why do we have to use an MC Oluomo to, fly logistics for Lagos State? Anyways, let's just take a listen to the judgment that happened yesterday.
Party and his governorship candidate in Lagos State, both party, and the governorship candidate of both party in Lagos State against the Independent National Electoral Commission, restraining them and or declaring their action, the engagement of MC Oluomo-led PAC and PAC management in Lagos State for the distribution of electoral materials and its ad hoc staff during this forthcoming election. By the ruling of the court today on our motion on notice, which had been duly served on INEC, and they have chosen not to come to court. The court has granted our injunction restraining INEC from further consummating and or continuing the engagement of MC Oluomo-led Park Management Committee in Lagos State for the distribution of electoral materials and its adult during this forthcoming election. We are grateful for my court, for the Lord, for his courage, for granting his order, which has further shown and further spoken to the independence of the judiciary and the strength of the judiciary in Nigeria to continue to do the right thing and toe the path for the development of the nation and its laws, and the enforcement and obedience of those commenced by the Labour Party and its governorship candidate in Lagos State, both party.
Yes, it's important that we do things that will further drive the development of our country and our democracy. So let's not, be the ones getting in our way by, decisions we are taking that, we are not for thinking what's going to be the result. But we have some tweets in response and reaction to this particular verdict by the court. So let's take those tweets now.
And it's ad hoc staff doing this.
Okay, this is by Atakumosu. INEC is acting no different from the Supreme Court, being partisan. How can a committee member of a candidate's political party be given charge of all election materials for a state? Is INEC just another appendage of the ruling party? So this is how it has been done since 1999. Ballot papers given to the ruling party's thought leader to distribute and return the collated votes to INEC. The audacity of a corrupt INEC can only delegitimize the election. This has to be a writing of a lawyer, my goodness. Okay.
And this one says, Ben Legal, it says, this is what has been happening over the years because people don't care, but now it is different. Imagine MC Oluomo distributing ballot boxes in Lagos. Has the election not been compromised? Serious questions Nigerians are asking as to that particular matter. Uncle D says, gradually sanity is getting back. These are the little things we've always expected PDP to do as an opposition party. Of course, it's the Labour Party that pushed for that suit and not necessarily the People's Democratic Party.
Okay, so Mystic Malam is saying, but candidly, how insensitive and careless could a strategically consequential body like INEC be? What is INEC up to? Did INEC need to be sued in order to be stopped from engaging the now famous or notorious depending on who you ask, Mr. Oluoma, a clearly partisan agent of the APC and dyed-in-the-wool loyalist of Mr. Ahmed Tinubu, to provide sensitive materials, personnel and services in such a crucial election in which he is personally involved right, left and center.
Serious questions.
Really serious questions, I mean.
Yeah, Momo says, but this is a genuinely insane country. So if we didn't go to court, that's how MC Oluomo and his boys would have been faring election materials on election day. Okay, and PDP were silent about it, just imagine. Okay, so, and finally...
Okay, this is Badebo Rhodes. He says, I am happy to announce that this morning we successfully acquired an injunction barring INEC Lagos State from dealing in any way, shape or form with MC Oluomo or any of his associated agencies. I am grateful to God Almighty and my legal team and to the people of Lagos.
Hashtag obedient.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the last tweet. Of course, Nigerians reacting to that particular judgment that came in yesterday.
Yeah.
And the fact is, whether MC Oluomo and his transport agencies were going to be used or not, since he is very partisan in politics and also a diehard, what do you call it now? A diehard supporter
of Bola
Tinubu. Yeah. There's just no how there wouldn't be that interference, in all of this. So it's good that at the end of the day, maybe INEC was just genuinely trying to get transport systems, to be able to transport their logistics. But let's not also forget that now that it is not happening like that, it's going to put INEC in a fix of what to do in terms of transporting logistics around Lagos State. Maybe private individuals could.
I'm telling you, there is a way that we can, I'm very sure that Lagosians would think up a strategy, but I'm now concerned with the spate of policies and decisions we are making without thinking it through.
Yeah.
We are seeing it with money and we're seeing INEC do the same thing. You can't just make decisions with sensitive issues in the country.
Yeah.
We need to have think tanks over things. You can't just say, okay, who's the next available transporter there that can move the logistics, let's give it to them. When you see he's off, if he were not obviously partisan, it would be different.
Yeah.
But this person has been in controversies carried by the media.
Exactly.
You can't feign ignorance in that kind of thing. So it's also good that we had some political parties in Lagos, as led by the Labour Party, not put their back on the ground for this issue and moved ahead. Because everybody's saying, this is a very, very transitional election for Nigeria and for Nigerians. We can't just leave it to the hands of people who do not care the beats what happens to us as a nation.
Yeah, serious concerns there. At this point, we just take a breather, and when we come back, of course, we have so many more other conversations. We'll be having Daily Spotlight will be next, and of course, we'll go to our focus conversation. But let's join Mary Joseph, who's standing by for the news brief, and we'll be right back shortly. Just stay with us.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa It's shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from 25th February 2023, broadcasters are enjoined to make ethical reportage their watchword. All political programs shall observe the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and other extant laws relating to broadcasting. All broadcasting stations must adhere to the principles of pluralism and ensure equitable airtime to all political parties or views. All political programs shall adhere to the general principles of legality, decency, and truthfulness. For the avoidance of doubt, the broadcast of a political campaign, jingle, announcement, or any other form of partisan party identification or symbol ends not later than 24 hours before polling day. Hate speech is prohibited. Be professional. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer Management.
Heads of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
This was the Lagos Nigeria for Spectrum TV to recover 40 lives since the county.
A very good morning to you and welcome to your morning news briefing Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief with foremost human rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, as he has written the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, demanding details of the new Naira notes disbursed to commercial banks nationwide. In a letter from Falana Chambers, Falana demanded that the CBN provide details on how the new notes were disbursed to commercial banks. Falana also demanded that the CBN provide a list of customers who have withdrawn more than 100,000 Naira maximum sum required by the CBN. Meanwhile, as Nigerians reel under the pain of scarcity of new Naira notes, the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and other 38 civil society organizations has called on the federal government today to obey the Supreme Court's pronouncement on the Naira swap policy. The leaders of the CSOs made the call at a press conference titled State of the Nation, which Awal Ibrahim and others read an address which pointed out the deepening hardship Nigerians are going through with no solutions to the Naira crisis that has engulfed the nation. Away from that, ahead of Saturday's presidential and National Assembly polls, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has again assured Nigerians of its readiness to deliver a free, fair, credible and inclusive election, despite the huge responsibility placed on its shoulders. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu disclosed this on Monday in Abuja when he granted audience to the Commonwealth Election Observation Mission to Nigeria led by a former South African President, Mr. Thabo Mbeki. On the foreign scene, rescuers are once again searching for people trapped under the rubble in Turkey after 2 new earthquakes hit the country, killing at least 3 people. Tremors of 6.4 and 5.8 magnitude struck in the southeast near the border of Syria, where massive quakes devastated both countries on 6 February. The earlier quakes killed about 44,000 people in Turkey and Syria, with tens of thousands more left homeless. In sports, Nigeria Vice Captain William Troost Ekong has sustained an injury ahead of next month's 2023 African Cup of Nations AFCON qualifiers. The experienced defender Italian club US have announced that he will be out of 2 weeks due to an injury, with Nigeria set to face Guinea-Bissau in the AFCON qualifiers. That's all on our news brief this morning. We'll bring you details of this and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Janice and Oyai on standby. Have a wonderful morning.
State and government, Secretary General, delegates.
This was the Lagos Nigeria for Spectrum TV to recover 40 lives since the county.
the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leaving the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Of course, on Rise and Shine, we bring you topical issues of things happening all over the country, and we've handled issues already. Of course, seeing the People's Democratic Party enjoy the alliances of 4 other political parties at this time as they collapse their structures in favor of PDP. We also saw a court injunction given to Lagos State INEC not to use MC Olumo as the logistics chair for the forthcoming elections. We've heard Mary Joseph bring us global news of things happening the world over. At this point, we move straight to our daily spotlight, where we bring you stories from the front page of our national dailies.
On Daily Spotlight this morning, we'll be looking at major stories making it on the front page of our national dailies, and we're going to start this morning with Daily Sun. Just to remind you that you can be part of our conversations this morning. Of course, we'll have our numbers on your screen so that you can call us or send us messages to be part and parcel of the conversations. Straight now to Daily Sun newspaper, where the major story making it on the front page says a new opinion poll gives Tinubu victory, and the writer says projects APCs will win in 19 states. Why APC stands better chance than other candidates. Comments there by Kalu, obviously Oju Uzo Kalu, and you can find details of that story on page 6. DPO, 6 others killed as gunmen attack another police station in Anambra State. You can find that story on page 4. Alleged 3 billion naira fraud, court dismisses EFCC's counter affidavit, grants Ali Bello others 500 million naira bail. Page 4 is where you get details of that story. INEC restrained from using MC Oluomo in distributing election materials. PDP charges security agencies to protect commission's facilitators. That story can be gotten on page 5 and 28 of Daily Sun. 17 cheat death as boat capsizes in Lagos. Very pathetic story there, or more like a victory for them, you know. Okay. INEC won't let Nigerians international community down. Mahmoud Yakubu, INEC boss on that one on page 26. Polls, Mbeki, ex-South African president, leads Commonwealth mission. And you can find details of that story on page 6 of the Daily Sun. Moving forward now, we also have on election, Chief of Defense Staff holds emergency meeting with service and security chiefs. The writer says IG urges security personnel to observe international best practices. You can find that story on page 5 and 6 of the Daily Sun. Moving forward now, and I think the very last story here on the Daily Sun, it says Okowa deplores leaders playing up religion and ethnic sentiments for votes. Okay.
All right, we move to the very next paper.
No, there's another story. Let me just take that down. Naira scarcity protesters raise banks, INEC, IBEDC officers in Ogun State. And then we have health workers, patients groan as Naira crisis worsen. The writer says business owners count losses, failed electronic transactions soar. Okay. Failed electronic transactions soar. You can have that story on page 27. I think that's just all that we have on the major page, on the front page of Daily Sun this morning.
Okay, let's move up next and take the Punch newspaper. We'll take the front page of the Punch newspaper, and we have the latest poll puts Tinubu ahead of all. That story can be found on page 8. 4 days to polls. Naira chaos grounds economy. Page 2. Banks ration 200 Naira notes. Nigerians lament hardship. Protesters raise 2 Ogun banks. Vandalize local government office. And we also have here petrol rose by 55% to 257 Naira per litre in January, says NBS. Page 9 is where you can find that particular story. APC Bola Tinubu to Governor Seyi Makinde. You have demonstrated the characteristics of a good leader, a persevering individual, hardworking, regardless of a political divide, and respectful in every aspect of your behavior. Okay, that's where we have it there. And that's all the stories that we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Of course, there is a picture story there showing members of the Commonwealth Observer Group led by a former president of South Africa that have arrived here in Nigeria ahead of the elections.
Okay, so let's quickly move now to our next paper, and it will be This Day newspaper. And the big story on this day says old banknotes, APC governors provoking anarchy, says Atiku. And then we also have the writer saying they are inciting comments, emboldening people to attack banks, sympathizes with citizens over hardship. Protesting youth sets banks, IBEDC, INEC offices ablaze in Ogun. APC campaign inconsistent. Atiku can't offer leadership Nigeria needs. Okay, so that's from the APC campaign. It says inconsistent Atiku can't offer leadership Nigeria needs. And we have that Irabo. We are good to go with Saturday's election. That's the Chief of Defense Staff there. And the writer says meet service chiefs, heads of DIAs, NIAs, DSS behind closed doors. And we also have another writer here that says troublemakers will get bloody nose. Oh wow, serious threat comments there. Southwest leaders back Tinubu for president. And of course, a picture story here of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and it's written there, the man whose time has come from the PDP. Okay, that's all we have on this day.
All right, let's move up next to The Nation. And on the front page of The Nation, the big story there says Naira customers overwhelm banks with cash demands. We also have here 30 held after arson on 4 branches. Malami in talks with APC leaders. Pipeline vandalism, oil theft hurting economy. That story can be found on page 25. We have here Buhari meets Ethiopian Airlines over Nigeria Air. 4 days to go. Let your votes count. Of course, that's an ad for BAT. We have here the poll tips Tinubu to win. Southwest leaders back Tinubu, commend APC on power shift. We also have here amalgamation of Fulani groups endorse Tinubu. That story can be found on page 5. We have here APC. Okay, this Bola Ahmed Tinubu with Governor Sheyi Makinde. Okay, that's about all the stories that we have in the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. We also have here JAM registers 1.6 million UTME candidates, 4 policemen, 3 IPOP suspects killed. And that's all the stories that we have there this morning.
Okay, serious concerns. Most of the major headlines on the front page of our dailies this morning, most of which is talking about still on the cash crunch, and the fact that there's been a lot of vandalism and burning of banks and INEC offices, and obviously there's also the big one that says that a poll has tipped the APC presidential candidate as one that is going to be the winner or lead in the polls on the 25th of February as well. I know that there are other polls that have tipped people like Peter Obi.
Yes.
There are other polls that have tipped people like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar also to win. So more like
will you think that all these polls are generated from these parties themselves?
Not exactly, but these are more like private polls, individual private polls, so they could come up with any result as it is. But I know that Nigerians have the whims and caprices to vote who they want to vote for, and at the end of the day we get to find who the next person or president is of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We need a predecessor for Muhammadu Buhari at
That's
this
a
point in
successor,
time.
rather,
The successor, I beg your pardon, for Muhammadu Buhari at this point in time. But again, I want us to be part and parcel of this conversation. Let's even look at now. We've had series of vandalization. We've had series of burning. In terms of different places, very serious series of hostilities across the country and insecurity breaches. How will this affect the polls on Saturday and on the 11th of March? I like the fact that Lucky Rabel has come out, to say that, look, we are going to, make it very bloody for any troublemakers. But how ready are the military at this point in time? Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Okay, we don't seem to hear our call at this point, but of course the phone lines are displayed on your screen. Feel free to call us and let's hear your thoughts on the issues from the front page of the newspaper or any other thing we talked about. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay. So if you try to reach us and it seems that the network is not allowing you to do so, please just drop us a message. We'll definitely get to read it. Now the question is, do you think that the military is even ready for the polls come 25th of February and 11th of March? Coming from the fact that we've seen a lot of vandalism, we've seen a lot of insecurity breaches across the country. Hello? Hello?
All right, so let's take this particular call. Okay. All right, so we'll just move ahead with the conversations that we have. We know that we seem to be having some difficulty. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, so obviously numbers are on your screen. Do you think that the military... Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Please do us a favor. Do us a favor and turn down the volume of your television set. Please.
How about that? How about this?
Please. Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Muhammad Dambaba Aziz. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay, more like you're a regular. Muhammad Dambaba. I remember that name. Go ahead.
Yes, confidently, I have confidence over the preparation of all the security agents, including army, police, civil defense, and all the security agencies. I have confidence over them. I don't have any doubt about the preparation so far. I go so many places, so many states, and have seen so many things. So for that, I think I'm satisfied with the situation so far. I wish all Nigeria to elect the president of their choice. I wish Nigeria safe and healthy in the future.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much,
Dan Baba.
Yeah.
Of course, that's one of our regular colors.
Colors, yes.
He did well to emphasize.
Was it Kanu or
Kaduna?
Kaduna, yes, all the way from Kaduna State. So you can be part of the conversation. The question is, do you believe in the Nigerian security architecture as it stands, and how ready they are for the polls come 25th and 11th of March? Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, dropped call. Please, if you try to reach us and you cannot, just drop us a message, either a WhatsApp message or a text message, and we will read your comments on air. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Okay, that seems to be a lot of people trying to call at the same time, and the calls are not coming through. If you have any difficulty reaching us, please do well to send us WhatsApp and text messages, and we would, do well to address those issues and give your contributions. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Benjamin. I'm calling you from Kaduna State, Benjamin.
All right, Benjamin, go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, you see, while these preparations are ongoing, the challenge we have is that most of us have been denied access to our PVCs. We've registered since sometimes around June. Till today, we've not been able to get our PVCs. And the election is just 2 days from here. I think this is not fair to an average Nigerian.
Okay.
So can you possibly tell us the reason why you've not gotten your PVCs, or is INEC in your area not giving you any tangible reason for that?
From the day they announced that the PVCs are out, we've been going. My local government is even tired. My local government INEC chairman is even tired of seeing my face. We go. They gave us forms to fill that our PVCs are not available for over 2 months now. No PVC. Every day you go is the same story.
So that leaves us in a very dire situation where a lot of Nigerians will be disenfranchised because obviously a lot of people do not have access to their PVCs. Anyways, thank you so much, Benjamin, for sharing your opinion and your concerns with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, very serious concern.
That's a really serious concern, because if we are saying that, PVC collection had long been closed, and we're still having people in some parts of the country that are worried that by some fault of the system they are going to be disenfranchised. Yes. Because like Benjamin is saying, there is no credible explanation as to why their PVCs have not been given. Now that's just one person that has called. How many more local governments across the country are these things happening? Yeah. It's such a sorry situation.
Very sorry situation.
Whoa.
Hello, good morning. Okay, so the question this morning is, do you think that the Nigerian military is up to the task of ensuring that we have a smooth, free, fair, credible, peaceful, that's the word now, peaceful elections in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Please turn down the volume of your television set.
Hello, morning.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling us from?
My name is Abdul. I'm calling from Kano.
Okay, good morning.
Abdul, go ahead.
Regularly, I call you people yesterday, we discuss.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for calling again.
Yeah. See, if you see what this man was saying from Kaduna, is what is happening in the country. Now, the area they see that their party is not, they are not getting upper hand in that area, they will make everything to frustrate everybody in that area. That is their own, that is what they are doing. You understand? So there's nothing like credit in the INEC office. They are not doing anything credit there. If you check the local government law, that man is telling you something. He is not belong to the APC. Once that place is not belong to the APC, they will make sure everything, they frustrated every human being in that place they will not come out for the poll and vote that very day. If it's their area where there are people there, they will make sure every possibility to make sure everything will be okay for them.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's what they are doing.
Thank you very much,
That is Nigeria for you.
All right, thank you so much, Abdul.
Thank you very much, Abdul.
Yeah, serious allegations. Yeah. I'm happy that our focus conversation this morning is going to be around, the APC and the money crisis issue. So we can also bring up questions like this, to hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
I'm Mr. Barita. I called yesterday. I'm calling you from Minamita State.
Okay, Baridon, go ahead.
Barita, not Baridon. Barita.
Barita? Okay.
Barita, yes.
Okay.
Concerning the strength of the military, in those days, we used to be afraid of the military. The problem facing the military is the willpower, political willpower. Imagine in Niger State, where I am now, bandits can kill as many security agents as they like because they say don't shoot them. If you shoot them, they put you into trouble. You understand? So the military, they are not giving them that total go ahead to exercise their work. That is why I look at it, the military under this regime is weak. Actually, they are weak.
So you do not think that they can give Nigerians a peaceful elections?
If they give them that political willpower to do their work, I trust them they can do their work. But when some challenges is everywhere, they say don't shoot anybody. If you shoot anybody, it's a crime.
But they're not supposed to shoot people on election grounds. They are not supposed to shoot people on election grounds.
They're not even expected with arms on,
yes,
the whole polling units. They are not expected with arms.
So what I mean is that let them give them the willpower, the political power to do their work. They can handle the situation.
Okay.
I trust them they can handle. But what is lacking is that political willpower.
All right. Thank you so much.
Politicizing the crime. The crime we have in Nigeria now is politicized. It's politicized. That is why you arrest some people today. Tomorrow they are out of detention. So the crime we have now is political crime. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Barry Down.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's talking about the fact that some political framework is denying the military the willpower,
the capacity
to get their work done. It's something we've always talked about. Why is it that we know where the problem is, we have the solution, why are we not getting the job done? So that's a concern that is being raised there by one of our callers this morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name
What's
and
your
where
name?
you're calling from?
My name is Tony, calling from Benue State.
Tony, you called yesterday. Thank you for calling again today. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. You see, all part of sector in Nigeria is struggling to survive, and security sector is not separated from it. As I'm talking to you, there is about 200 and something police units that INEC said because of insecurity they can't conduct election there.
Yeah, true.
But that doesn't mean that it have overwhelmed INEC that they can't conduct election. The truth of the matter is this: security is supposed to be a business of each and every one of us. And as police is doing their own, army is doing their own, civil defense is doing their own, we have to support them. If you see something,
you say something.
And election must be conducted on 25th December.
February, not December. February, not December.
February, don't mind me. 25th February. It must be conducted.
Yeah. All right.
Let us be security people. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah, very nice
for your contribution. Yes.
We
Security
need
is
to
everybody's
help.
business,
Yeah,
actually.
like you would always say, right? It's everybody's business. Our hands we all have to have our hands on deck if there is a result we are expecting out of this election.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
My name is Patrick Chuan.
Patrick? Okay, go ahead, Patrick. Good morning.
Patrick from Delta State.
From Delta State.
Okay.
All right,
Go
please go ahead.
Yeah. Even yesterday I was calling you guys on the currency scarcity issue.
Okay.
But I was not able to get you through.
All right, no problem.
On the issue of security, that whether we expect
the military to do a clean job on Saturday. Having gone through some past elections, it is difficult for someone to believe that the military is independent when it comes to elections. The past election I was in Bayelsa, particularly in Bukuma, one local government that is the Minister for State Petroleum come from. My friend was the presiding officer too. The lives that lost in that election were so much in the presence of the security agency from federal government. But because what they are doing is in support of their candidate, they keep quiet. And that is what is obtainable in Nigeria. As far as the police force, the military are not independent from the control of the federal government. Whichever party the federal government wants to win in a particular area, the security will be let loose. And the party in question will do what they want to get their vote. So if we want to expect anything from these people, then we are deceiving ourselves. But the only person that will put our trust is God.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you so much for your time.
Patrick. I think that's a major concern.
Yeah, major concern that, is the military going to be totally, free to carry out their job without any form of interferences, from the federal government or from whichever government that will be controlling at that point in time. But again, let's give it to the military. For the longest of time, elections would say it has been considerably peaceful, in some quarters. Let's not also, negate the fact that we've had pockets of violence here and there and all of that, but let's hope on the military as well to do their job and do it very well. Hello, good morning. Please, this is going to be the very last call because we have a guest waiting for us. Okay, from Gift, yes, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The network is bad.
Okay, so it's
we
going
can
to be a drop
hear
call.
you clearly, so maybe you can go ahead and speak.
Okay, we are not taking any calls anymore, please. Our guest is waiting. We'll just take a short breather at those points to connect with our guest, and then we'll come back. We're talking about the Naira crisis and how it is affecting the APC. Yesterday, it's obvious that it's just about the APC complaining about the Naira crunch. We have not seen the PDP do same yet. Rather, they are using it as a political tool against the All Progressives Congress. So we'll take a breather now, and when we come back, of course, we'll be having that conversation. Just stay with us. Okay, welcome back. We have a guest join us virtually this morning. He is the National Coordinator, Grassroots Movement for Asiwaju Shetima, Dr. Umar Tanko Yakasai. He's joining us virtually this morning to talk about the Naira crisis and why it is affecting, or seemingly it is affecting, just the All Progressives Congress and the governors of the different states that they get to occupy. Good morning, Yakasai, and thank you so much for joining us.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. How is your end? I think you are in Lagos.
Is it Abuja?
Abuja, right?
Kano.
Okay, Kano. Fantastic.
Oh, okay. Amazing. How is your location this morning? I mean, it's 4 days to the election, more like 3 days and several hours to the elections, actually. How is preparation and how is the air towards the forthcoming elections in Kano this morning?
Yeah, thank you. In Kano, people are quite excited that the opportunity for them to exercise their democratic right is barely 3 days ahead. and they have all prepared to vote the candidate of their choice, and they've been going about their normal businesses, trying to cope with the situation in which we find ourselves, and they're excited, looking forward to Saturday. And of course, we know majority of the people in Kano are ready to vote Asuaju, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Senator Kashim Shettima, and some other candidates of the APC come Saturday, inshallah.
Okay, so let's even get into the crux of the matter before we begin to decide whether Nigerians are going to be tilting to the All Progressives Congress as their presidency or preferred presidential candidate. Now, the Naira crisis seems to be a major issue in the country as it is, and some people have argued that this may also affect the elections in some kind of way. But we see that in the political terrain, there has just been this outcry by mostly the APC governors as to the cash crunch. Does it mean that it is only the APC governors that this is affecting? Or it's because, like some people have said, more like the PDP have alleged, that the APC are the ones that want to do the vote buying the most?
I don't think that is correct to say, because everybody knows that the All Progressive Governors and the APC have done so much for the people in their state in the last 7 years. But of course, with economic recession that has happened globally, with the COVID-19 that has also been experienced globally, there are a number of sluggishness in the economic sector, and today, barely some few days to election, the Naira redesign policy is making it impossible for some people to have access to their own hard-earned money. And APC governors have shown that they are really progressive, they are really concerned for the citizens of this country, and are voicing those concerns that the same citizens are raising because of the hardship in having access to their legitimately earned money. But of course, the opposition parties who do not really care about the sufferings of the masses in this country feel it's an opportunity for them to celebrate this hardship by the citizens of this country, and thinking that they can be beneficiaries of these slight difficulties because they feel that people who are unhappy may end up forgetting all the 16 years of misrule of PDP and blindly vote them back in this coming Saturday. So that is why they are not complaining, because they don't care about, they don't really have concern. While the APC, as progressive as we are really concerned about the masses, and the policy is a policy of the APC government, and it's biting hard at the people, and therefore the governors are working hard to show that they are concerned, and they are taking these concerns to the president and to the CBN instead of saying that it's our policy and we don't care who is affected or not.
All right, so something.
So that's the difference.
All right, so something you have painted is that the APC governors here who moved the suit against the federal government are touched by the plight of Nigerians at this time. But you've also rightly mentioned that this policy that is biting Nigerians very hard is a policy of the APC government. So how is it that the APC government, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, made this policy? It is biting Nigerians, but you still have the APC fighting that particular policy. Now, if it were to be, a generally accepted policy by the APC, it means that APC should be on the side of their lead man, who is the president, to make sure that this policy succeeds at all costs. Remember that most analysts have said that this policy has a futuristic benefit for the country. But how come we have APC governors fighting the policy that you have, acknowledged is a policy of your party and its administration?
Yeah, you see, we are students of history. And if you remember vividly, in the run-up towards 2015 general election, there were a number of people in government who were PDP governors. 5 of them sabotaged their own party and left. Some other people stayed within the PDP and worked against the party. So we are saying that even, I'm sure you have listened to Governor El-Rufai and many other governors who have spoken of the existence of cabals within the government of APC and the central bank governor of Nigeria. If you remember, he was a PDP person because he was appointed by Goodluck Ebele Jonathan before 2015, and President Muhammadu Buhari graciously retained him as governor and renewed his term, and he decided for the first time in the history of this country as a sitting CBN governor to aspire to contest in a party in a primary which he was rejected. So if you have this kind of, then you see that there are possibilities that there are fifth columns within the party, within the government.
You're directly saying trying to scuttle his chances. So for you, it is Godwin Emefiele that is trying to scuttle those chances.
And then you renew the second term. We'll come out with a policy and a deadline of cash swap that will affect majority of the citizens, especially those who are downtrodden, who majority are voters. I believe that the CBN governor is working counterintuitively to the aspirations of the APC retaining power in 2023.
But he's not working alone.
I really believe in
Godwin Emefiele is not working on his own. He's working with the full backing of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Remember, this sounds like you're winding your way around it, because initially you had actually accepted that this is the policy of the APC. Now, when you say that, and now you say that it is Godwin Emefiele who's trying to work against the party,
because he came from
the People's Democratic Party. Do not forget that there have been a lot of people trying to fight against this policy, but this policy has stood the test of time because the president of this country is fully backing the CBN governor through this policy at this time. And the APC, the president did not come from the People's Democratic Party. So what is his own to gain from this kind of policy if Godwin Emefiele has, an undertone motive for this policy?
Yeah, so let me just say that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has appointed people into position to advise him. And when you advise a president, there are pros and cons. And if those who are appointed give the president and convince him of the benefit of the merits of certain policies, the president will go ahead and give them the order to implement their policies. And without really giving an analysis of the possible consequences that the Nigerian citizens are going to pass through. And the president haven't given his word with all these challenges that we're having. Of course, government finds it difficult to be doing back and forth with its policies. And so I believe that Emefiele has convincingly deceived the president into agreeing to this policy in totality, knowing fully well that those Nigerians who live below poverty line and many who live above poverty line might end up being pushed into this policy. It is not uncommon for government to implement policies that at the beginning may look good, but during implementation it might bite hard on the citizens, and it will look as if it's anti-people policy. Remember the COVID period where the lockdown was a necessary measure to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Many Nigerians initially bought the idea, but because of too much inactivity, boredom, and what have you, began to disagree with the lockdown policy. So sometimes policies may have good intentions, but the way and manner it is implemented may have a negative consequences. And for Emefiele to keep insisting, so I think it doesn't help this policy at all.
Okay,
when Nigerians are complaining that they are having no access to the resources.
Okay, so now, my question is, should Nigerians actually believe that this outcry by APC governors is actually for Nigerians? Because some people have actually argued that when we had the NSAS protest, we didn't see a lot of governors from the APC come out to cry out loud against police brutality. When we had the 8 months strike for ASU, we didn't see a lot of APC governors come out to cry that Nigerian students should return back to school. So why are we seeing this happen now for the Naira cash policy? And here you are telling us, Dr. Yakasaya, that it is for the general good of Nigerians and the common man that the APC governors are crying that this policy shouldn't stand.
We even had the leader of the party, Adamu, now have an emergency meeting with these governors because, I mean, ahead of the hearing of the Supreme Court in the case. So there's a lot of running around on this particular money issue by the APC governors at this time. Dr. Yakasa, I would like for you to respond to that. We've not seen this amount of proactiveness by APC governors on any other issue prior to this time.
So should Nigerians believe that it is actually for the benefit of Nigerians that the APC governors are crying this loud?
Okay, I think you seem to forget that governors are at a strategic level in this country, and many a times their advices on policies of this government are given directly to the leadership of this country, and where such advice is being taken and is being heeded, you don't need to come out and be voicing it out. So let me give an example. During the NSAS protest, if you remember, at the beginning of it, the governors on their own have advised the president, and that has constituted some of the measures that the president took in good time, when he said he has accepted the demands of those who are doing the NSAS protests about banning SARS and some other measures they need to set up an inquiry. All these things were advised by the governors to the president, which he heeded. The only thing that happened was that at that point in time, that NSAS protest was hijacked by some hoodlums, and it almost intended to set the country on fire. And the Nigerian security had to intervene in the way and manner it did, because no matter how much, how angry you are, you can't take arms and be killing the Nigerian police and burning police stations just because you want some of the activities of the police to be corrected. So the governors did their bit, and it was not. And the president listened, and it was implemented. And you have inquiry set up, and today we have some feedback. So the governors do intervene. It is in this particular case, the governors have reached out to the federal government to listen to them, and when those things failed and the Nigerian people began to run to them, the masses, they had to come out to identify with the masses, because the CBN had insisted through the presidency that this policy is not going back. So it's not true to say that there are events that have happened in the past and the governors have not intervened. Even with the ASU crisis, the governors have intervened at the level of their own, at the level of the presidency, through the back door. And
up till now, that hasn't been sorted out, because ASU is also saying that till now the presidency or the federal government have not kept to their own side of the bargain.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that, at the risk of going back to the issue of ASU versus federal government crisis, both federal government and ASU have a huge chunk of money that is at stake for some of those ASU agreements to be implemented, and the money is not readily available. So some of the major disagreements were with resources that are not available, and the governors, I am telling you, who also lead in their state, knows what it means to have paucity of funds, to have lack of funds in their state. So if the federal government is speaking from the angle of lack of enough funds to address some of the ASU's demands, the governors can also reason and understand. But this one is a different issue. These are people who have earned their money legitimately were asked to put it in the bank. After putting it in the bank, they can't access it. I am telling you, in this place that I live, I will go around looking for a single 1,000 naira, and I have more than 1,000 naira in my account, and I can't get it. And if I, as a medical
now,
doctor,
is it
how long
about,
do I need to go and stay
is
in
it
a
about,
queue? So what we are saying is that the people are suffering because they don't have access to their.
is that the argument of the APC governors, that people are not having the Supreme Court of not putting a deadline to the old 100, to the old 200, 500 and 1,000? What's the argument of the APC?
No, it's the same issue, the same argument. If new currencies are not available to be dispensed in the banks and at ATMs and at POS, then people who have deposited their funds, their own legitimately earned money, cannot have access to it. Because of the deadline of the utilization of the old notes and the lack of availability of the new notes, people have no access. And so since you have not produced enough to be in circulation, deadline of 3 months has proven that it is not enough for you to mop up and then flood the environment. So the argument still remains valid that it is access to their funds. Access to their funds. If this money had been available in enough quantity that somebody doesn't have to go and queue the whole day and not be able to get money, nobody will argue with the policy. It is a deadline is because it has created scarcity. People's hard-earned money in banks and cannot be accessed. So the issue is shift the deadline for the utilization of the old and the new to a day that when you keep mopping the old ones, people will not suffer. So the argument is in lack of availability of the new currency that has called for the release of the old currency so that CBN will have enough time to produce new currencies and people will not have to suffer. So is the suffering, the lack of access to people's hard-earned money in banks. That is the bottom line. And that's what the governors are saying.
All right, so as part of the expectations for this policy, the CBN governor has stated, and we've also heard the president state that, you know, this policy is also geared at curbing vote buying in the forthcoming elections, which is in a couple of days, 3 days and a couple of hours. If we keep seeing the APC governors push the way they are doing towards, you know, a difference in the move by the federal government to still have a deadline, don't you think it also has a different political interpretation? I mean, it's the APC governors are the party in, you know, the ruling party currently, and the president says we need to keep a deadline on when this money is used as legal tender because our target is that during the elections we do not want vote buying or anything related to money. Now, this kind of energy is saying that the APC governors think otherwise from the CBN governor and the president of the country. I mean, a lot of people have alleged that APC governors want to, you know, give room to vote buying by this push that they are making against the federal government.
Okay, so you see, anybody who thinks that the biggest benefit of this radar redesign is to stop vote buying, that is not the concern of the APC governors. That if people are not angry because the APC governors have access to their own money, they will not vote APC. That is not their concern. Their concern is that if people cannot access their funds and they are angry and there is what they call transferred aggression. And if the government of the APC is responsible for this policy and at the end people suffer, they will not understand that at this point in time they need to suffer for whatever reason. What they will naturally do is that they will throw the baby and the bath water. So what we are saying is that if the policy is really intended to address vote buying during election, this policy should have been implemented in 2019, so that the person who is prescribing the pill will also have tested it for the same disease. Why?
But
now?
that would have
This is the
given
question.
room for politicians to still be able to stash the new Naira. If this was done in 2019, it won't tie everybody into a corner where they cannot have room to stash of the new Naira. 2019 till this time would have given you at least 2 to 3 years to still be able to stash up the Naira, even if you're making withdrawals of 100,000 every
what he's
week.
trying to say is that this particular administration would have tasted the vote buying on itself. Rather than want to test it on the next administration that is coming.
But I mean, we've seen the president also still support your candidate, so it's not like he wants to work against the APC, as it were.
I think Genesis got me right. Okay. We are saying that if you need to test a system, the best thing is to have tested it when the person is in contest. So the 2019 election provided a golden opportunity for this measure to be in place. Remember, this issue of cashless policy was an issue that had been in the pipeline since Professor Charles Soludo, right through Sanusi Lamido Sanusi as a governor. All these measures of introducing ATM, online platform, were preparations towards a cashless policy. I didn't start now. And we had expected that if in the preparation for the 2019 election, this policy has been implemented, that would have been the best time to test run it. But to refuse to do that and allow the same issue, the same thing that we want to prevent now, for somebody to be a beneficiary in 2015, to be a beneficiary in 2019, and then now he feels it is the next person that should test it. I think that is the issue we are raising. And let me just generally speak. There was a book by Francis Fukuyama, Political Order, Political Decay. And in that book, around 1880s, in the US, the same situation where we are today in Nigeria, the United States was in that same situation. If people have read political history, even if the CBN governor has read political history, the way to address vote buying, which is patronage, politics of clientelism, clientele, that is a simple word, politics of prebendelism, where people take money and use it for their own political machinery, you don't address it through this policy. What the American system did was to ensure that they create a robust economy where middle cadre or middle workforce was created, so that you have like 20, 30, 50 million young Nigerians who are doing economically well. You don't need to buy them. They will be the persons who will come, stand for all elected positions, and provide themselves for leadership. And it's when they get into position of power that they change this system, and America is better for it 50 years later, around in the 1930s. So this measure is just like me when you come to my clinic as a medical doctor and you told me that you have a pain in your abdomen, and I just give you a painkiller and I say go. For that point, at that point in time, the patient will be very happy. He will see me as a godlike figure because I have done away with the pain. But I have not diagnosed his problem and provided a permanent cure. What if it is appendicitis and the pain goes away, and when he goes home, the appendix now ruptures and he dies? So this is exactly what this policy is doing. Addressing the problem, addressing the symptoms, and not treating the disease. The reason for vote buying, we know them, is economic hardship.
Dr. Yakasaya, you have established the fact that the CBN governor is not out to curb vote buying of any sort. Okay, so now what do you think is the objective behind this particular policy by Godwin Emefiele?
No, I'm not saying it is, he is not intended. The president said it, they all said it. Part of the fundamental reason for implementing this policy so acutely is that people will not have money, access to money to buy vote. No, they said it. The president
of course,
said
yes,
it.
he said it.
The CBN governor said it.
But you're establishing a fact that it is not about vote. What's the main objective of Godwin Emefiele with all of this?
Yes, we can see. We can hear you. We can hear you.
There are reasons for it's because the Nigerian citizens are complaining that, but the president and the CBN are saying that it's to prevent vote buying. And we're saying that in trying to prevent vote buying, that there are many legal ways that you could have done in the 7 years of this government that would uplift the economic status of many Nigerians, that you don't even have to buy them with 2,000 naira, 1,000 naira. Those are the long-term measures. So now the question is, if you do this and people suffer, and then at the end of the election, what will happen in 2027? What will happen in 2031? Will we keep redesigning and swapping new Naira currencies just because we want to come vote buying every 4 years? Because you have not addressed the fundamental issue that is creating opportunity for people to want to sell their vote. So you have to address the material condition that created the condition for people to sell their vote. And if this stopgap measure does not succeed now, will it be reapplied in 2027? Will it be reapplied in 2031? So people, the government, the CBN needs to think beyond their noses and find genuine solutions to poverty in this country, to the reason that people prevent themselves from buying, and not this stopgap measure, which will happen once and is gone.
Okay,
the same operators will be available.
All right.
The same operators, the same voters, the same populace will be here in 2027, inshallah. They will be here in 2031. So if the resources are available, are we now going to say we keep redesigning and swapping?
I think that's a very big question.
Is that a good economic policy?
Okay,
is that a good economic policy?
Go ahead.
Well, we've questioned the validity of this policy to a very large extent. It was also one of the lines in the judgments of the Supreme Court to test the quality of the policy. Now, but another question I have still stems to APC governors. Now, when the Supreme Court gave a directive, the president came out and addressed Nigerians, gave an injunction, so to speak, also. But we've had the likes of the governor of Kaduna State, El Rufai, go ahead to ask citizens of his own state to continue to use the old Naira notes and the new Naira notes concurrently as legal tender in his state. Now, there's so many things that have happened around the country in this time, and most Nigerians fear that the country is moving closer to an anarchy. Why are we having governors, although they do not agree to the policy of the federal government? Because the president is backing this particular policy. How come we still have, members of the APC as governors give different directives from what their helmsman is giving at this time? What do you rate of that particular decision by El Rufai? And imagine if other state governors, decide to take up that particular step too. Yeah, go ahead. I hope it's not frozen. I think it's frozen. Dr. Yakasai, let's know if you can hear us.
Rule of law.
Okay.
There's a difference between rule of law and rule by law. Okay. Rule of law is that the led and the lead should all be subjected to the same law. The president must respect separation of powers. The presidency must respect separation of power, must respect judiciary, as well as the legislative arm, so that the executive arm will also be respected. That is one. Rule by law means those who are leading, the law is above them. They're above the law. So what the governors are saying is that if we have gone to the Supreme
the network is muffled up there. I just hope it can just let us conclude on this particular
something should stop. It is expected that the president, the presidency, and every Nigerian must respect that and stop. No matter how much you feel, you are doing it for the good of the country. The good of the country is that as ordinary citizens should respect the Supreme Court judgment or ruling, and government should respect Supreme Court ruling. Okay. But it's funny that
I think that's quite one of the aspects that a lot of Nigerians have talked about. The fact that even the federal government that is supposed
did not remove certain currencies and say that the law applies to 200 and it does not apply to 1,000 or 500. That is interpretation of the presidency. And we are saying that only the Supreme Court can do that interpretation. And so the governors feel that they are taking side with the ruling of the Supreme Court and urging the president to listen to the Supreme Court, because as a leader, you expect to rule by law, so that if a citizen is found wanting by law, the president will help with his agencies to enforce that law.
Okay, so you think that El Rufai's move at this time is in support, is in obedience to the Supreme Court order. So you do not think that he's in negation of anything at this moment? Internet network. Dr. Yakasai, were you able to get my question? So just to wrap this up, we want to know if you think, El Rufai is okay to have taken that stand now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear us?
We just have barely 2 minutes to wrap up the show, so if you can just put your
So
thoughts.
I think what El Rufai is doing and other governors is helping the presidency to remind them that please remember that it's a Supreme Court ruling, and let us not be seen to be the ones going against the Supreme Court ruling, because we are giving opportunity for other citizens to do so. Whoever is advising the president should think of the future implications of not obeying Supreme Court ruling or judgment, and we hope that by this Wednesday, the Supreme Court will address that matter squarely so that the country will come back. And if you remember, in the United States of America, there is one senator who belongs to Joe Biden's Democratic Party, and he consistently challenged Joe Biden's policies in the Congress. And it didn't mean that there is an anarchy in the United States of America just because a serving senator who belongs to Biden's administration is saying that there is something that the presidency that Joe Biden should look at in the executive bill is bringing. So this is maturity. It's democracy that has matured in this country, that you see even governors of the same party trying to draw attention of the president of the same party to certain implications of the policies of their own government. I think it's a welcome development.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a very great way to wrap it up this morning. It's a good place to say that, you can find checks and balances even within the people in the same quarter. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Yakasai, for coming on the show this morning and sharing your wealth of thoughts with us. We really, really do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
We wish you the best during the elections. Obviously, we'll be here to analyze the situation as it comes. Thank you so much, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that's where we wrap it up on the conversation today. It's been a wonderful one, but I think that just to draw and glean on some of the things he has said, if you begin to change policy now, why didn't you test it in 2019 on yourself, before saying that, okay, let's do it, let's keep doing it. Again, do we need to be changing Naira, currency after every 4 years just because we need to curb vote buying? So there's just much more that the government can do in terms of curbing vote buying, and not necessarily getting to change the Naira or redesign the Naira at every point in time during the elections.
Yeah, and Dr. Yakasai has pointed out that one way to do that is to make sure that the citizens are empowered out of poverty, so that then it's not easy for any politician to be able to buy their conscience with money. Well, we see that Nigeria still has a very, very long way to go in that particular area at this time. 135 million people living below poverty line. Let's see what the next administration can do for our nation. But that is definitely all we can take on the show this morning. We want to appreciate every single person who called on the show this morning to make their quota known. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of Rise and Shine. My name is Uyai Anyakan. Thanks for joining us. I will definitely see you tomorrow.
Yes, and we will see you tomorrow, just like Uyai has said, with another interesting edition of Rise and Shine. Thank you to everybody that made it possible, that worked behind the scene to make sure production was super successful. And please do follow us on all our social media platforms on spectrumtv.ng. Follow us on our personal handles as well, okay? And continue to make the community grow. My name is Janice Cobham. Do have a great day.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leaving the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria.